Alrighty. Moving on to the next topic, we of course have to talk about the beard. We continuously see stories about the beard, and this one, we're going to talk about it as a group, and it's James Harden misses practice for the 76ers for a personal matter amid NBA trade rumors. He's been seen in Houston. He's been missing, I believe, the last 2 days of their practices. And if you're an NBA team, you're probably looking at this like, what the hell? Because you continuously see, your star player out doing, whatever he likes doing, having this personal matters. But if you're one of these NBA teams, you're super frustrated. But let me just read a little bit about what this article goes on to say by Mike Schurer, and it kind of cuts off his name, so I do apologize if I just butchered it with the machete. Superstar guard James Harden misses Philadelphia 76ers practice for a second consecutive day on Thursday. According to Kyle Neubeck of Philly Sports, a Sixers spokesman said Harden is away from the team due to a personal matter. First of all, I want to ask you guys, do we believe that James Harden is missing it for a personal matter? And you're okay to say yes if it's for a certain personal matter.
I mean, it's certainly personal matters, Definitely is personal matters. Is it good personal matters that actually validate not being there? That's certainly not. But
I actually, to be fair to James, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I saw a rumor that his mom is sick, and that's why he wanted to go back to Houston so bad, was because he lives in Houston, obviously, and so he obviously wants out of Philly, but I think the truth is maybe somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
With that,
yeah. It usually is, but this is the ultimate problem with James Harden, Brad. This is the NBA equivalent of the boy who cried wolf, right?
Very true. Yeah.
You play the game long enough, people aren't going to believe you when it comes time for you to actually need to get something important out of life and a move like this. So, honestly, if that is true, I obviously feel bad for James Harden. I can't imagine what I would do in the same situation. That being said, in a lot of ways, he's made his own bed. It's really tough to feel too bad as far as his business situation is concerned. And I don't know about you guys, but I think he's getting traded in the next 2 weeks. I can't see this going on much longer. And really, the fact that Terrence Mann, of all people, is no disrespect to Terrence Mann, he is legitimately a solid role player in the NBA, but I just cannot foresee him being the ultimate, we're not doing this trade, I think they're going to hold out as long as they can to see if Daryl Morey will blink on it, but it's Terrence Mann. The Clippers are, they have the highest payroll in the league, I believe. They want these stars, and, Ballmer he has never shied away from adding big contracts to his roster, and I ultimately think it's going to happen this week or next, probably.
Yeah. I think the frustrating thing is, it continues to be an issue and conversation with James Harden and an issue with Daryl Morey, too. These two have been publicly against each other since James Harden called him out during, I believe it was a Chinese camp or something like that. They were a basketball camp he was hosting. And he did it again a couple days ago, too. It is getting quite ugly, and it's really one of those things where I'm always in the business and the belief of you keep your business internal, until it's done, because otherwise it'll lead to a situation where it just becomes messy, and I just think that what frustrates me about James Harden is that I don't think he realizes that he's kind of lost his leverage with the amount of moves that he's made throughout his career in terms of leaving Houston, which was fine, right? Because it was the end of that cycle. But then he went to the Nets. Is that where he went next?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he was having issues with Kyrie Irving, according to rumors. We really don't know what the situation was there. But he essentially didn't like it there. He then moved to Philly, and now he's just saying, I'm done with Philly. I want to move somewhere else. And so, it just becomes a very messy situation, and I don't know how it gets resolved other than, like we talked about, James Harden has to move. He has to go to a different team. The question is, are teams willing to give the necessary assets to to the 76ers because Daryl Morey's asking for an unprotected first-round pick. He's asking, I think, for a pick swap and I think another player as well for James Harden, which, like you said, Brad, it's craziness. Like you're not getting that in the year 2023, especially after, I would say the
playoff
effort,
performance.
Yeah, playoff performances and the effort that we've seen from James Harden. It is frustrating. And so I just think the next kind of logical thing is like, what is a more realistic trade offer for James Harden this stage in his career?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think the Terrence Mann in 1 first is that crazy. I mean,
can you blame the Clippers for not wanting to give up Terrence?
Of course not.
Yeah.
I don't think any team should want to trade for him, to be honest with you. I would definitely not trade for James Harden if I owned an NBA team. It really wouldn't matter how little I had to give him. Because you're ultimately in the same situation. No matter what you do, you are screwed no matter what you do with James Harden at this point in his career. Because the thing that is his biggest holdup is it's irreconcilable. He wants a max contract at this stage of his career. He is in no shape, form, any universe of imagination worth a max contract. But it's kind of tough, man. Like, this is one of those situations where I really do think, like, man, maybe I'm crazy, or maybe I'm reaching. You guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not. I think that this is where we're seeing like the limitations of the player empowerment movement, right? Like a little backfiring of that era of the NBA. In the sense that players like James Harden, and James Harden in particular is kind of a special case, but I really do feel like he has convinced himself deep down, maybe it's not just him, it's his team around him, that he has earned something, regardless of how the last few seasons have gone, right? Like, he wants people to look into the past of his career, but be selective in what they see, right? And I just don't think that that's a reasonable expectation for any player in any situation to have, one, but also it's one of those times where like it's hard to not defend the business of the NBA from treating him this way. Like, he has created this situation in which he is not able to get what he wants, right? But the league and the players and nobody is motivated to say, "Hey, like, shut up, dude. Like, you did this. Why? We don't want you on our team," right? Nobody is motivated enough to say that. So everybody, the whole business has to kind of skirt around what the actual truth is, and it's that he is not the same guy he was. I don't know.
I would say, it's tough. Like, I wouldn't say it's too much of a rebound on player empowerment, just because, like you said, James Harden's a special case, like a really special case, and it probably just has to do with, I think KG said it like pretty well on his podcast, but he was like, you only get so many wiggles in the league, like, and once you wiggle too much, you don't get any more wiggles. And James has kind of wiggled himself too many times, and the league doesn't need him anymore. Like you said, he's not that good, and I really think that's more what it is. Like, player empowerment, this would work if he was still James Harden, but he's a shell of himself. So it's not,
Sure.
all 29 other teams are looking at him like, this is funny, like, this guy's not worth any of this trouble. So it's just, if he was worth the trouble, I'm sure he would have been traded by now, or traded for by now. It's just that, like you said, he's washed.
See, but I like, is he though? I mean, is he really that bad?
Well, in comparatively, like,
To what he was.
To what he was, yeah.
But let's just compare him to
he
Terrence
still has
Mann.
a lot. No, yeah,
he's better than Terrence Mann.
He has a lot of game. That's why I think this is really annoying, because, like, as a basketball fan, I just want to see him play good basketball, because James Harden is still good. Even as bad as he is in the playoffs, generally, he has his moments, like he did against Boston last year, and like, on a proper, in a proper setting, on a proper team, you might be able to squeeze some James Harden magic out of him some more again. So, like,
Spurs.
Yeah, but that's the bottom of the toothpaste, man.
Not a Spurs player.
That's bottom of the toothpaste, man. You gotta, like, really.
I don't think that would go well.
You gotta really squeeze that out of there. Yeah, I mean, I get what you guys are saying about James Harden, but man, it is, it's kind of it's the old saying: "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." And it's now we're on fool me 578 times. Who are we gonna blame? I get it. Like, he's better than all these other players that you guys are talking about. But at the end of the day, the thing that he wants to get traded to is a contender. He doesn't want to get traded to a team where he can just stat pad and just kind of enjoy his Mai Tais at the end of the season.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
He's personally. I think they're not. I don't know.
He wanted to go to Houston. He
wanted to go to
genuinely
Houston
wanted to go to Houston.
well before they made a bunch of moves. That team, if they had just signed him at the time that he wanted to go there, that was not a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of he should just go to where should he go?
I know.
Yeah, you know,
the Clippers are a good fit, but it's just like
the Clippers are a good fit. If there's anywhere in the league that is a good fit for him,
that's such a Clippers move.
It is the Clippers.
Such a Clippers move, and it's going to backfire on him.
What about the Lakers?
Please,
is that
God,
just Russell Westbrook? Is that just Westbrook 2.0?
No, because he can shoot and play make a little better.
The chemistry of it, the locker room. I don't know if it would be as negative as the Westbrook one seemed to have gotten, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a terrible idea, honestly, for the Lakers. I don't really like it either, but I don't know, man.
It's terrible because they're building a culture, and James isn't a culture person.
He doesn't. I don't know. This is the ultimate reason why I have to just defend him as a player just a little bit. Like the flashes of him as just a pure point guard, right? With Philly, it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. There was a few weeks in last season, maybe even a month or two stretch where, I mean, he was an all-star in my opinion. He was back to not the level he was at in Houston because he was playing very differently, but he was incredibly impactful and positive on the game for Philly. And that was with, I would say, pretty lackluster coaching from Doc Rivers. So I'm not sure that he's as washed as you think he is, Bernie, but it just he has to go somewhere with strong leadership. And I think that's the problem with all these teams. All the teams that do have strong leadership are like, why would we want to add this guy to this equation? Yeah. So yeah, I think he's kind of, he's wiggled too much, Brad. Like KG said, I actually think that's a really good way to describe it. He's pushed against the institution a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he'll still end up a Clipper probably.
He
probably will. Yeah.
And then you're gonna have Clippers fans, high five and celebrate, and then a year later when they're eliminated from the playoffs for the 570th time, then they're gonna turn on him, because I just feel like that's kind of what happens with Harden. Anywhere.
Well, I mean, the thing with him, on the Clippers, the difference would be he'd be their third best player. You don't have to rely on him to close. That'd be pretty sick.
But would he though? Because can you rely on Paul George and Kawhi to be healthy?
No, if they're not healthy, then it's over to begin with. But if they're healthy, just throw the ball to Kawhi and watch him work, or let James create something for him. That'd actually be good in a playoff setting. But the Sixers need him as their second best player, or sometimes best player, which is ludicrous. He can't be that anymore.
I actually think the Clippers, if they're healthy, obviously with Harden, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, that would be that'd be insane to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you guys aren't understanding their history of the Clippers. Those guys have never been healthy.
I'm not saying they're going to win.
They'll never be healthy. Like, you can bet on that. But if they are, the luck is there, maybe.
Yeah, organizationally they are cursed, Bernie. I am in full agreement with you. I'm just saying, if we're talking about adding assets at a cheap level and just putting an all-around good team out on the court, that is a pretty good squad to run out there. Like James Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George, and Zubac, or whoever it is. I mean, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. Let us know.
Winning a championship, though.
Yeah, but let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of James Harden? Are you guys tired of him? Are you guys a fan of his? Let us know in the comment section down below. Where do you see yourself, or not yourself, but where do you see, does your team end up getting James Harden? Would you be excited? Would you be frustrated? Let us know in the comment section down below.